Okay, so I'm back with another video. um, I'm basically continuing with this series that I am divulging my testimony, my testimony of my spiritual awakening. Hopefully, my voice isn't raspy this whole video. Um, So, to introduce myself again, my name is Simbala Dazil. I am an artist from California originally, but I move around a lot. I'm currently in the Midwest, and I spent some time in Mexico, and now I'm just indoors like everybody else. Um, you know, perfect time to reflect, perfect time for reflection. And I'm just gonna keep relaying my story in these intervals of like 20 minutes or so. Um, and that will give me a chance to kind of get used to this whole thing of like putting myself out there, putting my business out there. I'm typically a very private person, and not even, I mean, some of my friends don't even know a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about. So it's just a way of me getting it out of me. It's not just about getting it, like sharing myself with the world. It's a very therapeutic thing. It's like I've let these experiences kind of ruminate inside of me, and I've had a few people that I've talked about it with, but I feel like it's important for me to open up and share these experiences more freely and to a wider audience, as to start a dialogue, as I said in my first video, and really create more of a community. There's already plenty people in the community that are free and open to talk about really, strange occurrences. Some may call them paranormal, some may call them, you know, like ultra dimensional, or I don't even know if that's a thing, but just like, out of this world experiences. Some people, may have had experiences where they feel like they've been abducted, seen beings that are not from this dimension, seen what they thought were ghosts or, spirits, demons, just all kinds of things. There's just so many. The thing about this world is like there's so much mysticism that is beyond what our eyes can see, what some say beyond the veil. Um, and a lot of people have experiences that they can't explain, and it's easier to, think in a very clinical way and think of ourselves as, crazy or irrational, or, just tripping. But that's why I think it's important to talk about this stuff and put it out there, and so that others feel safe to open up and tell their stories, tell their testimonies, and talk about either their continued struggle with these experiences or how they've been able to pull themselves out of these experiences, or just understand them better so that they're not so scary or daunting or confusing. So, on that note, I'm going to pick back up where I left off in my last video. So, this series is called Awakening into the Void by Simbala, myself, of course. And where I left off, a young gentleman I was dating when I was in my early 20s, I was about 23 at the time. We parted ways. He decided he did not want to continue a relationship with me, and understandably, we're, young, people in a town, a surf city. There's just that, just he wanted to get out and do his thing and meet other people. And, you know, part of me understood that at the time, but another part of me was just devastated because, as I said before, this is the first person that I started seeing where there was, you know, it was a positive exchange. At least I was receiving positive, you know, he was just a very positive person in my life at the time. And just as far as, you know, a romantic relationship, it was very positive for me for the first time. And so when that ended, it was tough for me. I took it hard, and it was the beginning of the unraveling of a lot of things. So that relationship ended, and I was living with this woman, and I'd been living with her for a while, and even at her house, I was having strange experiences of sleep paralysis. And for those who don't know what sleep paralysis is, it's like if you're asleep and suddenly you wake up, and for whatever reason your body cannot move, and not like nothing in your body, not even your eyes, like you just can't move. So it feels almost like you're separated from your body, like your life force is separated from your body. And oftentimes when in this state, what people experience, what I personally experienced at the time, was like seeing like an apparition or an image of somebody, like almost like in a static, like I can't see the person, it's more of a shadow or something like that. So I was having experiences like that at this woman's house. And so when me and that young guy broke things off, things with she and I went left, and she was going through things, you know. I don't want to blame anybody or put anybody on blast, but it just wasn't working out. It's just, you know, everything hit at once. So, you know, I was in a dire situation. I had to find a place to live, and while going to school and stuff like that. So a couple that I became amazing friends with, that are my angels to this day. I will shout them out later down the line, but they wanted to move to San Diego. They lived in a city outside of San Diego, and they wanted to move into town to be closer to work and stuff. So we decided to get an apartment together, and so we had to hustle because we had like a couple weeks to find a place. I was, you know, it was just a lot, you know, a lot going on. So I'm looking, you know, trying to figure out where we could live, like just hustling, looking for all these places, and I found this beautiful apartment, and it seemed like it was going to go well. And then the owner, he kind of backed out last minute. He was just not really feeling it. So we kept looking, and then eventually I found an apartment that was in that same area, nice part of San Diego called Golden Hill. And it was cheaper. We would have been able to move in right away. It was literally like the last minute I found this place, and it was an interesting apartment, or it was a, you know, big tall building on the top of a hill, and Golden Hill is just like a bunch of big rolling hills. San Diego's very hilly. It's a lot more hilly than I imagined before moving there. So we move into this apartment, and already it has a very kind of dark energy over it, you know, just something weird, very, I don't know, spooky. I wasn't keen on it at first, because it's like we desperately needed a place to live, and I was like, let's sign the lease, let's get it in, you know, let's get in there. So I got us, you know, we got it all together, got all our stuff together, we got approved, and we moved into this apartment, me and my two friends, the couple. And things were good at first, you know, like Um, I was working, hustling, working two jobs, while also going to school. My friends were also hustling a lot, working, doing what they could. And things started to fall apart. So I was still distraught about this, relationship that didn't pan out. And, but I was in denial about the ending of it. I was thinking like, oh, he'll want to rekindle things, or he'll want to come back. I was so certain that we had a mutual, love connection. I did not think for one moment that it was an unrequited situation, which I didn't even know what that was at the time. Honestly, like, I was just unfamiliar with love as a concept or as a feeling or any of that. It was just, at the time, I didn't even know what feelings were. I was so numb to the human existence, where I think a lot of people are very numb to their variety of emotions. I mean, we have so many different kinds of emotions. Like, emotional intelligence is something that isn't taught to many of us, if not most of us. And so when I was young, so it's reasonable, but it's still something, a lot of people can be in their 50s, 60s and still be in that mindset of just almost childlike, like, not self-reflective and self-analytical. So I definitely was not that at the time. Didn't know what love was, didn't know how to express it, didn't know that, just because I feel strongly for somebody, that they don't have to feel the same way about me for my feelings to be real. So that was a belief that I had, was that, like, oh, well, in order for this to be real, like, he has to feel it too. So just to sort of get into that. But so my friends and I moved into this new place, and I remember communicating that with him, with my ex, and I was thinking like, like, I have this new place, so, he and I might be able to get back together. Like, I know we love each other. And so I was optimistic for a while, and I wouldn't see him on campus. Like, I wasn't really talking to him, but just trying to maintain like a positive, when we would interact, trying to maintain it in a positive way. And he was like pulling back, like, really strongly in a lot of ways. So I was just trying to keep myself distracted with like school and work and all these other things, and things started to shift. So as I began to realize that this person is not feeling me the way I'm feeling them, it was starting to like weigh on me heavily. Like, just this concept that, oh my God, this person does not love me back. And so because of that, everything, like everywhere else in life, things were slipping for me. So, school, I was maintaining my school. I was still going to my classes and doing my thing, but I wasn't, my gusto was not there. And I was working two jobs. I was doing a lot. I basically was working at a cafe and then got a new job at a hostel, and it was overnight. It was just a lot. I was doing too much. But basically because of that, I started slipping. At the cafe, I got some complaints from customers for being a moody Judy, and my boss, was this French lady, and don't know what it is with French bosses. I just don't get on. I'm half French. My mom is French, and she was my first French boss. And I had a couple in San Diego too, and it's just not a good combination. I'm very defiant. French people are very like strict, and well, no, I don't know. Just my experience with French folks, but anyway, things were not going well at that job with that boss, and then I was at school. I decided to get into farming to like get my mind off of what was going on in all of this, and so I was excited to start volunteering on this farm at school. It was like an on-campus food garden or food farm. And so the first day I volunteered, I like got into it. I was like, this is going to get me out of my depression. I was really upset about this breakup. It definitely led me down the road of just sadness and just not feeling good about myself, so I knew that the gardening was going to be beneficial. And first day, I was digging out some ice plant, and I blew my back out, like just blew it out, messed it up. I don't remember how I got home that day, because I was riding my bike everywhere in San Diego, so somebody must have given me a ride or something, because there's no way I would have made it home walking my bike or anything. So I messed up my back, and as a result, I wasn't able to go to work at the cafe. And because I couldn't provide a note, because we were in a recession at the time. This was like around 2008, 2009. My boss was like, well, there's no excuse, and she said she was gonna have to let me go, and it was for the better. We weren't really getting along, but it still like kind of like put me deeper into a slump, and so at this point, I'm like laid out on my floor at the house, thinking about like, man, okay, so I got fired from one of my jobs. Someone who I love, this guy that I love, left me. Just things are not looking good, It's just like I'm falling deeper into my depression, like what's going on. And still, all of this shit that I'm tripping about, excuse my language, is surface stuff. It's not the core of what was bugging me out. So I didn't know that at the time, so I just kept sinking under. And my roommate, the guy in the couple, he was fired from his job around this time, and that put him in a deep depression. It was a really messed up way, the way he got fired. And so it was just all this, this intense dark sadness that was culminating in the household. And the way our house was set up was like a big square building, or square building like this, and then you walk in the front gate. So the front gate is right here, and you walk in here, and there's a whole courtyard, so it's open air. And the building is like 2 towers, I guess, that go up like that, and then the courtyard in the middle of it. And then there's bridges for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors that you can walk across from apartment to apartment, and the elevator, blah de blah. But it's an open courtyard in the middle, so open air and everything. And so it's just an aspect of the apartment. I don't know if it's an important part of the story, but just wanted to share that. So we're just feeling low. the household is just in a low vibration, a low frequency. I'm depressed, my roommate's depressed, his girl, my best friend, she's trying to hold it together. It was a lot. It was a lot to process, especially in a state of unawareness. So as time went on, I continued my job at the hostel, and the different and strange thing about this job was that it was an overnight job, so therefore I was working night shifts, and I am not naturally a night owl. I know there are some people who function better at night, but I'm not one of those people. I'm the type that I wake up with the sun. So with that, I wasn't getting proper sleep, so that was also contributing to my depression, which is I wasn't getting enough sleep. I definitely was not eating well enough, going through these emotional issues without any guidance, without anyone to talk to, without any family around. I blew out my back. That was a massive, massive blow because I wasn't physically capable to do the things that I needed to do. And so all of these things were going down, and I think I kind of jumbled the story around. I missed some parts, but before I even blew out my back, some strange activity started happening at the house. Very strange. It was really stuff I've never experienced before, and I just didn't understand what the heck was going on. So, on that note, I will continue in the next video.